You're tuned into the Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Zeno Pucks. Here are your hosts, Andy and Brian Matusi.
Welcome back to the Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast. I'm Andy. He's Brian. We're finally together in the same room doing this podcast. Not half-assed. Well, it's kind of half-assed. We didn't really prepare for this.
Yeah,
either.
I'd say I didn't bring headphones. I didn't bring a mic. I didn't even bring a chair. I'm actually sitting on a lawn chair.
Yeah, we didn't really prepare for this at all. And that's okay. You get what you pay for with our show. So
and it's free, so you don't.
Yeah. Hey, as long as we keep putting shows out regularly, Zeno Pucks will be happy. So
yeah. Hell, we don't even know that there'll be a video.
yeah, I mean, we're recording video right now, but Brian actually does the video stuff on his computer when we get done. And he's at my house right now. So maybe I'll send it to him to work on when we get done. Maybe I won't, but either way, you're definitely going to be listening to this. So that's the plan. We're using one microphone right now. So if you notice a difference in audio, it's because the mic's not right in my face like it usually is, and likewise for Brian.
Yeah.
So we're going to work with what we got here. The next time we do one in person, we'll be using two mics, and we'll prepare a little bit better for it. But additionally, it is Veterans Day. So at least here in America.
Remembrance Day for our friends
in
Canada.
Yes. So happy Veterans Day to all the veterans in the U.S. And I don't want to say happy Remembrance Day in Canada, but I guess that's
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. So yeah, that's what's going on. I'm going to let Brian take the reins here, and we'll see what's going on. And if there is, like I said, if there is a difference in audio quality, which I know there is, it's because we're using one microphone. So I'd say bear with us, but instead I'm going to say suck it up.
Yep, at least for this episode. So I want to start this episode because last episode I mentioned how hot of a start Lukas Dostal was off to.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we'll talk about him later. And then we just never did.
Yeah. Okay.
So I wanted to open this week's show and mention it. The problem is, in the 3 games that Anaheim has played with Lukas Dostal since we did our last episode, he has allowed 4 goals, then 5 goals, and then 5 goals again. The save percentage, which was at .945 last week, is now down to .922, which is still very good. But his last 3 outings were against Chicago. Were all home games, too, versus Chicago, Vancouver, and Minnesota. And he allowed a total of 14 goals in 3 games. So maybe good that we didn't do the segment on Lukas Dostal, because that would have felt like that would have been a pretty bad jinx. But
well,
he's still got a good save percentage, and honestly, for as bad as Anaheim is, it's impressive that his number is even over 900 to begin with.
I do have to agree with you on that, yeah. Although probably won't be for long at this point. So
yeah, that's if he stays this way, it won't. This is weird. Normally, my show prep stuff I have on
your screen, yeah.
And instead, I'm looking at it on my phone now.
We absolutely are just jerry rigging the shit out of this episode. So,
another thing worth mentioning: McDavid returns after only missing 10 days when he was supposed to be out for quite a few weeks. So he's back. We'll see. Hopefully, he holds up.
That's no surprise to me. That was the same thing. Like last year when Bedard got hurt, you knew he wasn't going to be out 8 weeks.
That was a face thing, though. McDavid's I think it was a lower body injury.
Still, same thing, though. That's your best guy. They're going to bring him back as soon as they can.
Yeah. So we'll see if Edmonton, with McDavid back far ahead of schedule, we'll see if they can start to right the ship and begin their climb up the standings.
Surprise. They can't.
That's what everybody said last year, and then they went to the finals, so. Everybody said the same exact thing last year when they hired Chris Knobloch. They're like, well, talk about too little, too late. Well, they almost won the cup. Austin Matthews for Toronto also had an IR, dude. That's ironically has had the opposite effect of what you would think. The Leafs power play is now like over 50% without Matthews in the lineup, which is hilarious. The other day I heard on the Steve Dangle podcast, they were like 8 for their last 13. I'm like, that's
holy shit.
So I guess the theory is that normally with Matthews in the lineup, they're trying to find him to get him to shoot the puck because he's their best shooter, but now they're getting good looks with Marner and with Nylander, and so they're getting better opportunities. Matthew Knies has really grown into his role as a power play guy too. But we'll see how the Leafs do without Matthews. Right now they're playing really well without him, but still a guy you want in your lineup. You want your team to be playing well with your best player in the lineup. You don't want to be just good when he's not in the lineup. You want to figure out a way to play well with him there because that's a guy that can put up over 60 goals.
Correct.
So,
but again, like you said, that hasn't slowed them down. They embarrassed Boston, which they only seem to do that when it doesn't matter. So
yeah, that's fair.
But they shut out Boston 4-0. And again, we talked about it last week. That's not really a surprise because something's off in Boston this year, and we don't know what it is. But I digress. Back to your point, you want your team to play good with your best player, but it has not slowed them down at all.
Exactly. We'll see how it goes for them, and we'll see how long Matthews is out. I don't think they give an exact timeline, but certainly it'd be.
Hold on.
What kind of beer are you drinking there?
It is whoever wants to give me money. That's
okay. That's my favorite kind.
No, it is. Shout out here. I'm not getting paid for this. This is from Great Lakes Brewing, an absolute Cleveland staple of a brewery. This is Christmas ale. However, it is the barrel-aged version, and it's extremely good. It's also, I think it's like 10% alcohol or something. It's a lot, but I'm going to pour this, and I'm going to have you try it because I just had you try the other one. So,
all right, this is not the direction I thought this show was headed.
Well, surprise. Actually, here, because this is filling up my glass, just drink what's left of this can. Right. I don't care if you don't like it or not. Finish it. What do you think?
It's not bad. It tastes like a barrel.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So,
yeah, they
definitely tell it was in a barrel.
Yeah, they get boozy, but it's a really good beer. So shout out Great Lakes.
All right, next thing I want to talk about. We talked about a couple guys that were injured. How about Brock Besser going down with a head injury after Tanner Jeannot shoulder checks him in the head? Jeannot gets 3-game suspension for that hit. Besser, I believe, is okay now. But pretty nasty targeted hit to the head from Tanner Jeannot. Just undisciplined, unnecessary.
Unhinged even.
I would almost say uncharacteristic. Tanner Jeannot is a really aggressive player, but not a guy that.
Not dirty, though.
At least not that I've seen.
Yeah.
I watched him play in Milwaukee. Not a super physical guy, but not a guy where I'm expecting to see headshots from him.
Yeah, that's a little surprising to me. The hit was just brutal. So, and I mean, he ultimately gets a match penalty out of it, which I think is appropriate for that. It's just a rough hit. You don't like seeing hits like that. I mean, those are career-ending hits, or have the pot. Yeah, I would say they can be. I should say.
Speaking of career-ending injuries, how about Gabriel Landeskog? Experiences another setback in his recovery. His season is now in jeopardy for him to return, and it's starting to get to the point where we now wonder if there is a return ever for him. I didn't see any specifics on what his setback was, just that they're now concerned that he will not be able to return by the end of the season. And you have to wonder if missing 3 full seasons in a row will be enough for him to hang up the skates. It's really sad. Again, he has not played 1 second of hockey since the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup in 2022. And so you start to wonder now, okay, is it time to sit down with him, discuss his options, and move on here? I mean, obviously you want him to be healthy. Most importantly, you want him to come back and have a chance to play. But realistically, you're going on 3 seasons with your captain on IR, not playing 1 single second of game. If I'm in charge there, you need to sit down with Landeskog and say, okay, this has got to be the end.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, ultimately, you're happy if you're an Avs fan that at least he got to win the cup with the team. Mm-hmm. So it's just at this point, you're kind of delaying the inevitable, I guess. And it sucks to say that because he's such a key part of not only the Avalanche, but of the NHL as a whole. You don't want to see him go, but it's kind of, I would almost compare it to Tua with his concussions in the sense that, you shouldn't keep going, but you want to keep going, but it might be time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully it changes, and I assume the Avalanche will end up in the playoffs this year, and hopefully Landeskog can come back in time. But ultimately, if you're missing 3 seasons of hockey and your first game back is a playoff game, not really an ideal circumstance. So I truly wonder if maybe this is it for him. I'm sure we'll know in a couple months what the game plan is. All right, last thing I wanted to get to. Actually, before I get to my final thing, why don't you do Warrior for Life here?
All right. I'm just kidding.
I was like, okay, great segment.
Yeah. All right. So the Warrior for Life Fund. I've talked about them plenty of times on this show. They are a nonprofit organization, and they get military service members and their family transitioning back into the civilian world, whether they're getting out of the military or if they're just coming back from a deployment. They help them transition back into civilian life, into the regular world, by getting them out on the ice with fellow veterans. In this case, it's mostly special operations veterans. And the Warrior for Life Fund has their own hockey team, and they send them around. They play charity hockey games, memorial games for fallen fallen special operations veterans. And they play against other NHL alumni, most notably coming up. That was Tuukka.
Oh,
he's right there on the stairs.
I was like, what is that?
Yeah. For the record, we're referencing my cat Tuukka and not Tuukka Rask. But they have their own hockey team. Most notably, they will be playing the Boston Bruins alumni on December 7th up in Boston. They are playing the Bruins alumni, and the team is 95% players from the 2011 Stanley Cup champion Boston Bruins team. That lineup is just insane. And they announced the roster like a week or two ago, and then they just announced this week that Andrew Ference is actually going to be on the team this time. Yeah. So, I mean, really cool stuff. It's going to be Dennis Seidenberg, Patrice Bergeron, Tim Thomas, Tuukka. Well, Tim Thomas is coaching the alumni.
Sweet.
So Tuukka Rask, Zdeno Chara, Dennis Seidenberg, Andrew Ference, Nathan
Dennis
Horton.
Seidenberg used to be like a premier defender in the NHL.
Yes, he did.
And I forgot he existed.
Yeah, and then you got Nathan Horton. So it's just going to be a really cool lineup, and the things that the Warrior for Life Fund does for these veterans is incredible. It's a game I'm looking forward to watching. I believe it's going to be streamed online. Don't quote me on that, but I will find out for sure. So make sure you're following us on social media to stay up to date on that. And if you haven't already, if you want to make a donation, head over to warriorforlifefund.org and make a donation.
I like it. All right, to close the show, it'll be a pretty brief one today. First of all, while I'm doing this, look and see if we have any questions, because we did not look last week.
No, I did look. I didn't have any in the Gmail, but I couldn't get into the other one.
All right, fair enough. While he's doing that, well, I wanted to take a moment to do a proper mention of the Winnipeg Jets and the incredible start to the season that they're having right now. So the Jets right now, first team in NHL history to win 14 of their first 15 games in a season. Incredible. Only loss came against Toronto a couple weeks ago. They have, through 15 games played, they have 10 or 11 players with at least 10 points. The big three are leading the charge. Scheifele, Connor, and Ehlers are leading the charge with them. I think they're all at 19 points, but they're getting scoring throughout the entire lineup. Their defensive game's really sound. Connor Hellebuyck's got a .935 save percentage. Eric Comrie's like a .914 or something. And so they just look so incredible. And I've seen a lot of praise for the Canes in the East, but I think the Jets in the West are just another tier. They're doing a lot of things similar to Carolina, but they're just doing it at a higher level. And it's resulted in them only having one loss so far. They look unstoppable.
Yeah, and I mean, no, I was watching it. I remember if it was last night or the night before. I had it on my phone. I was playing a lot of the new Call of Duty this weekend, so any hockey I watched was on my phone.
Yeah.
But no other team in NHL history has ever had a starting record of 14-1 through the first 15 games. These guys are making, not last season, but the season before's Boston Bruins look like a fucking minor league hockey team.
I would say they're on pace to go like 76 and 6.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous like that.
Not sustainable, but certainly crazy that number is even available.
And I'm not knocking my Bruins by any chance, but Winnipeg, well, you can. But Winnipeg looks insane this year, and I think a lot of it comes from, I don't want to say built up rage, but built up hard feelings from going out, getting bounced by Colorado in a series they should have smoked them.
They seem to be playing with a chip on their shoulders, but like I said, the big three there, Scheifele, Connor, and Ehlers, 19 points for Scheifele and Connor. Ehlers is at 18. Morrissey and Pionk, they're two big defenders. 16 and 14 points respectively. And they're getting really good play from Perfetti now, 13 points in 50 games, or in 15 games, not 50. Velarde, 13 points as well. Niederreiter, 12 points. Nemesnikov, 11 points. Lowry, 11 points. They're getting scoring from everywhere, combined with getting otherworldly goaltending from Connor Hellebuck. This team looks very similar to the one last year as far as its elite level of performance, but again, they're doing it at an even higher level than last year. And again, it's resulted in them only having one loss.
The one thing I'm nervous about, first thing I want to say is I truly hope they keep this up for the remainder of the season. And it's no secret, I love Connor Hellebuck. You love Connor Hellebuck. I think everybody.
He's going to be our goalie for international play.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you are a hockey fan in general, you should love Connor Hellebuck, but especially if you're an American hockey fan, that's our goalie coming up. So, and he's without question the best goaltender in the league right now.
Yeah.
But you hope they keep this up for the remainder of the season. What I'm hoping doesn't happen, and I know we're still so early on to speculate, but I'm hoping they don't do what the Bruins did 2 years ago, absolutely nuke everybody in the regular season and then choke hard as hell in the first round. That's what I don't want to happen. If they're going to be this good, I want to see them go all the way.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times, or not a few times. I think we've seen it twice in basketball, a 70-win season.
Yeah.
Basketball, they play 82 games as well. It's a little bit of a different sport as far as the structure of the game and the influence your star players have on the game versus the NHL, where it is truly more of a team effort. But I would love to see a 70-win team. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
If the Jets keep up play like this, I could easily see them passing 60, 65 wins this season.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to point out too, to people, especially people who are newer to hockey, the city of Winnipeg isn't your typical metropolitan city.
If it were an American market, they wouldn't have it.
Exactly. And they pack that stadium every night. Arena, stadium, whatever. They pack it every night like it's nothing. So this isn't just like, it's not like this has been a team that's like the Florida Panthers where they were garbage forever and then they just suddenly got good. The Winnipeg Jets have always been, well, maybe not the last couple of years, but generally speaking, the Winnipeg Jets have always been in the playoffs as far as I can remember. So, since they came back into the league anyway.
They were unwatchable for like the first couple seasons they were there. They just weren't great when they moved from Atlanta. And then since 2015, they've been in the playoffs pretty much every year. Their big run, of course, was to the conference final in 2018 where they lost to Vegas. But yeah, I think they remind me of Colorado before they won their first Stanley Cup, where you just were terrified to play them in the regular season, and the playoffs, they come up short every year. I'm starting to wonder if we're going to get to that point now, especially since they have a great goalie, if we're going to get to that point where they're going to get in the playoffs and run 4 teams over and win the Stanley Cup.
I wouldn't be mad about it unless one of those is the Panthers or the Bruins, which at this rate, I'm not even expecting the Bruins to make the playoffs this year.
I think Florida's, might win the East again. They just look really good. We'll have to talk about them again sometime soon.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't let off the gas at all, but we can do that. Oh, you know what? Real quick, I want to point out there's a good chance that we might not have an episode next week. My wife and I and a couple of our friends are going to Toronto this coming weekend.
He's going to see Taylor Swift.
No, my wife and her friend are going to see Taylor Swift.
You.
No. Look, any Swifties we have that listen to or watch this show, I'm certainly not knocking you. Whatever you're a fan of, good for you. No, would you stop? Whatever you're a fan of, good for you. But I'm just not a Swiftie. But my wife has been waiting to see her for several years now. And so is her friend. I guess Tuukka wants to be on the show too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can hear him through the headphones.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Let's pick him up.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll love that.
Yeah.
If there's one thing cats love, it's being picked up.
Yeah. Come here. All right. Here's my nephew.
Yeah, there he is.
There we go.
There we go. Named after
he's giant, dude.
Yeah, he's a absolute fucking unit.
Yeah, he's
named after Tuukka Rask, of course.
Yeah.
If you ever wondered how much of a Bruins fan I actually am, I named my cat after Tuukka Rask.
Yeah, I think he weighs more than Tuukka Rask does.
Yeah, that's a big ass cat. But so we will be in Toronto for that concert, so I will not be here. We'll be back that Sunday, but it will probably be later in the evening, and after driving back from Toronto, I'm just not going to feel like doing a show.
That's fair.
So
you and your buddy were going to go see the Leafs and Oilers game, and then you saw Leafs and Oilers ticket prices, and you were like,
which I want to point out, first of all, I do enjoy watching the Oilers, and I want to point out that their ticket prices, it's not that I wasn't willing to pay those ticket prices. It's that I'm not wanting to pay for tickets to go see a team I absolutely loathe, like the Toronto Maple Leafs. And granted, I would have rooted for Edmonton there. I do want to go to a game there eventually, but I think that's going to be something that my wife and I probably do together. And
these prices are pretty rough, though.
Yeah, let's read some of these prices off real quick.
I'm looking lower bowl only because I'm sure the upper bowl
$10,000.
$440 per ticket, $640 if you're at or $660 at Center Ice.
What's a glass seat?
I
gotta know
that. Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I know these tickets get expensive, but
we were just looking at nosebleed seats just because I wanted to go to a game in that arena because it is a nice arena, and I wanted to go to a game there. And I was like, well, that's something to do. They're at home while the girls are at the concert because that's gonna be like a 6-hour day for them. Yeah. It was like $270 per ticket for nosebleeds, and I'm like, I don't mind paying that. I'm not gonna pay that to go see a team I hate. Like if that was the Bruins or the Panthers, I'd have been there in a heartbeat, you know.
All right, here we go. Glass seat section 108. I think this might be behind the penalty box actually, but $15.65 a ticket. Somebody else has tickets in row 1 for $3,500. This is US dollars, by the way. This is
crazy.
Dollars. $1,100 in row 2, $980 in row 5. So not a cheap date, and to drive your point home about it's a team that you don't even like.
Yeah,
certainly not worth the investment. For what it's worth, the upper bowl tickets were starting at $200.
Yeah, so
and we're talking like the upper level, second row from the back of the arena,
right?
So not worth the investment, I would say.
No, not worth the investment at all. And like I said, I would have rooted for Edmonton, but like I just mentioned, if they were playing the Bruins or the Panthers, I would have absolutely done it in a heartbeat, no question. And same thing if that was a Panthers or a Bruins home game, I would do it in a heartbeat. But for a team I don't root for, it's just not worth it to me. And for Toronto only being 4 hours away, like it's not like this is my last opportunity. Hell, this is my second time going to Toronto in the last like 5 months. So it's not like it's gonna be the last time we're there. And I talked to my buddy who's married to Kristen's friend. And he was like, I don't really want to pay that for tickets. And I was like, hey, man, you don't have to justify it to me. I understand. So we're probably
going to go eat at the CN Tower.
No, I'm not. I've been up in the CN Tower twice in my life now. It's lost its allure. I don't need to do it again.
One of the buildings of all time.
It is. I mean, it's really, if you ever get a chance to do it, you absolutely should. Unless you're afraid of heights, then maybe
that's not me. I'm not a heights.
Oh, you would absolutely hate the elevator ride too.
Yeah. I'm good on all that.
Yeah.
I'll stay right on the ground.
But for those of you who aren't afraid of heights, if you ever get a chance to go up in the CN Tower, it's incredible. And there's 2 observation decks. There's the main one, which is the huge part. And then there's this little bubble about 400 feet higher. And we went up to that too. And that, man, that is high.
Yeah.
High. And you're in, I'm telling you, dude, the bubble's probably the size of the room we're in.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm not even afraid of heights. And I was like, this is a little insane for me.
Yeah, this is a little much.
So, and it's good. It's weird because you can like feel it, the building swaying. Yeah, which is a good thing. You wanted to do that, but I digress. That's it was a cool experience. So we're just gonna go do some other stuff. We've got a few places on our list we're gonna check out. What?
Somewhere in Winnipeg right now, there's a bunch of seething Jets fans that are so beyond mad that we ended our section on the Jets by talking about the city of Toronto.
Yes, sir.
I can guarantee you somebody just chucked their phone across the room.
Well, hey, I just want to say, at least I ended the series or the episode by saying I'm not paying to watch a team I hate.
That's fair.
I did say that, but the city of Toronto, I want to clarify this, is a great place to go to visit. Notice I said to visit, and not to live. There isn't a chance in hell, a snowball's chance in hell, that I would ever live there.
Yeah,
it's too damn busy. It's literally Canada's New York City. Not quite as bad, but pretty damn busy. There's a lot to do there, though. It's a great tourist area. A lot of cool sights to see. I mean, we enjoyed our time there. I've been there twice. This will be my 3rd time going. Again, great city. To hell with their hockey team.
Fair enough. I like it. I like I just love ending a Winnipeg section by talking about Toronto. That you can't make this shit up.
Sorry, Winnipeg, we love you.
Yeah, I will say this one last thought on the Jets too. Again, so much of this is pointless if they don't succeed in the playoffs. And I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I've dogged a lot on the Hurricanes for having great regular seasons and doing jack shit in the playoffs. And that's kind of what the Jets have done too. The difference to me is that there's changes in the way the Jets have structured their lineup over the last 5 years, whereas there has been largely no massive changes to what the Hurricanes have done, unless you count losing Pesce and Teravainen as major changes. They didn't really do anything, and I know they're actually kind of playing better to start the season despite not having those guys, but with Freddie Anderson as their goalie, and he's also out for a little bit, and Rod Brind'Amour as the coach, I'm just not convinced there. The Jets have a first-year coach in Scott Arniel. He's got him playing really good hockey right now. Over half the lineup's got over 10 points in 15 games, and I think 6 or 7 guys are over a point a game. So there's different, while they are similar in kind of the path they've taken the last decade or 8 years even, their approach to the future, I think, is vastly different. And I think down the line we'll see the difference there when I believe Winnipeg will win the cup in the next 2 years or in the next 3 years. And I don't believe Carolina will be a top 5 team 3 years from now.
No, I don't want to get on the Carolina thing again, because I could talk about that for hours. The only thing I will say about Carolina is I do truly feel bad for Freddie Anderson, one of the best goalies to play the game. The guy just can never catch a freaking break, man.
As soon as he gets going, it's always something.
Yeah. And it sucks because he is absolutely like goalie I would like to see win the Stanley Cup because of how good he is. He's just always been with a team who has demons, whether it be Anaheim or Toronto or now Carolina. It's just you can't. The guy, I don't want to say he's gotten screwed because he has. As far as I'm concerned, if you play in the NHL, you're not getting screwed. You're doing way better than I am. So, but it's unfortunate to see such great caliber players not win championships, and we're in the same boat with Connor McDavid too. Granted, we hopefully still have a very long time with Connor McDavid.
Yeah, say Freddie Anderson's in his early 30s now. McDavid is 27. Yeah. So let's 28 see. Or whatever. No, he's 27.
Yeah, because he came in 2015 when he was 18. So yeah. Okay. So yeah,
he's born in 97. So could have just done the math that way.
Whatever, So,
but yeah, well, I don't have anything else for this episode. We didn't have a lot to do, but I'm here at your house, so it's like might as well do one. And we didn't do it yesterday because you're like we should do one today.
Well, yeah, I just figured since you were coming over here, I was like, well, you might as well just do it while you're here. And like I mentioned yesterday, like I mentioned earlier, I spent the last 2 days playing Black Ops 6. Incredible Call of Duty game, probably the best Call of Duty game to come out in at least
Black Ops 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. So again, if you're a video game person, check that out as well.
Do we have questions?
No, we did not.
That hurts my feelings.
Sorry. You guys stop hurting Brian's feelings and start getting your questions in.
Yeah.
Go to freshicehockeypodcast@gmail.com. Send us a question or contact at freshicehockeypodcast.com. Either way, send us your questions. If you don't want to email us, you can message us directly on Instagram or Facebook. Facebook is Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast. Instagram is at Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast. So if you can't find us, that's not us, because everything is Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast. It's not that hard to find.
Yeah,
so
I was gonna say I would like my Instagram DMs to be something other than porn bots that are following me. So every time I get a message, now I'm to the point where I don't even want to check them because I'm just like, it's never anything.
Yeah, so. Dude. Well, it's like they don't come into like my actual inbox. It's always like the message request. Yeah, and it's just like, and it's like group chats of porn bots. Yeah, dude. Exactly. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So
I'm glad they all like hockey too. Trying to grow the game.
Yeah, I guess. So
right. Well, with that, then I think we'll wrap the show. It's about 1:30 here, so we gotta start making some lunch. We're gonna go cook some burgers and hot dogs, and I'm gonna put up my Christmas tree because I wanted to do that on November 1st, but I was too lazy. So with that, we'll say
take care
and happy Veterans Day.
But also comb your hair.